Hello everyone, I am Justin J. Dinalo. I am the first reporter for this entire topic or module which entitled Non-Digital and Digital Skills and Tools in Delivering Technology Enhanced Lessons. But to remind you that for this video, we will not focus on digital skills and tools, but instead we will discuss or focus first on non-digital or non-digital tools. Okay, let's have first a brief introduction about this topic. Okay. Teaching becomes rewarding when learners get the most from instruction as manifested in their performance. An important element in engaging learners is when the strategy used in delivering the lesson uses an instructional material. Okay, if teachers are using this strategy, if they use an instructional material, particularly if it is when properly and appropriately used, so it can spice up a classroom activity using an instructional material. So these instructional materials also may come in varied forms. So one group refers to the conventional and non-digital tools. A classroom will always need a chalkboard or a writing board that may come in varied forms and shapes. Bulletin boards, flip charts, dioramas, puppets, terrarium, and the like will always find their significance in any classroom. So these are the examples of instructional materials that could be used in the classroom. However, nowadays, particularly we are facing a pandemic, so we are studying in an online class due to the pandemic. So nowadays, lessons can be made more relevant and engaging for learners as digital tools are integrated. So this topic talks or explore about the possibilities of learning with the tools and how to effectively integrate them in instruction. I'm sorry po sa boses ko. Okay, now let's talk about the development and use of non-digital or conventional materials. So when we say non-digital, it does not use any computers, internet, or other digital technology, no, because it's non-digital. So for example, textbooks or any personal notes. So those are an example of non-digital learning media. Instructional materials are defined as print and non-print items that are rested to impact information to students in the educational process according to Ifyong and Ijuri 2015. So the teachers need instructional materials to enhance teaching and learning. So examples of instructional materials are drawings, kits, textbooks, posters, magazines, flip charts, newspapers, diorama, pictures, recording videos, and the like. So later on, I will be showing sample pictures of instructional materials and guidelines of how to use it. So instructional materials have several roles in teaching and learning, which include the following. First, they promote meaningful communication and effective learning. Second, they ensure better retention, thus making learning more permanent. Third, they help to overcome the limited classroom by making the inaccessible accessible. And fourth, they provide a common experience upon which late learning can be developed. And last, they encourage participation, especially if students are allowed to manipulate materials used. So these are the several factors to consider in developing materials. So, okay, instructional materials are also the supplementary materials, which help the teacher to make his or her presentation concrete effective, and interesting, meaningful, and inspiring. So it is important for teaching and learning process also to, because it also enhance the learning process, and instructional materials also plays a vital role as they provide sensory experiences to the learners. And the primary aim of teaching materials is to provide the teachers the layout of the way of teaching in the classroom. So that is why it is important to understand how to develop instructional materials, because it refers to any pre-existing materials that are being incorporated, as well as to those that will be specifically developed for the objectives. So these are the several factors to consider in developing instructional materials. First, develop a storyboard. Develop a storyboard and working outline based on the subject goals and objectives. Second is to identify existing institutional resources, including materials and teachers' capability. Third, the teacher may research off-the-shelf materials that have been developed by others to determine if their approach could be useful. So, explore the possibility of adapting concepts of other teachers without infringing on anyone's copy-protected design. So, teacher is hindi lang magfo-focus sa iisang source, but then they could research more, if try to ask their colleagues if their instructional materials are effective to their classroom or not. So fifth, modify existing materials based on the objectives of the lesson. Six, if the instructional materials are effective, you can share them with other teachers. And last, the teacher developer can also sell her or his materials available. Okay, now I have here an example of instructional materials that could be used in a classroom, since we are an educator and we will be teaching soon an elementary pupils. So it is important for us to know this and to have an idea. Okay, first I have here a diorama. Dioramas are small scenes created of layers of materials, all depicting a similar concept or theme. They usually display a historical time period, a nature scene, or a fictional situation. So it depends on the concept or theme that you want to create. So basta it will make the classroom to be more creative and innovative. So it is a fun way also to build an exciting scene in a small space. So in developing diorama, you will need to choose a concept or theme, just like what I have said. And then second, research the subject. Third, make a rough sketch of your ideal diorama. Of course, we have to make a sketch first before creating our diorama, so that we know what to do or what to create. We will not jump into creating a visual without sketching it, without planning it. And fourth, make a list of the items you will need and gather your supplies. Like for instance, if you'll need like here we can see it, they have a plastic leaves, a toy, or any materials that could be used for dioramas. And last, select a container or box. So I have seen a video on YouTube. They made a diorama using a shoebox. So it depends on you whether you create dioramas using any box will do for dioramas. All you have to do is to be innovative and creative. The second instructional material is nature table. So this is a table that contains objects and or scenes related to the current season or upcoming festival or a symbol of an ecosystem. Okay, from the word itself, it's more on nature and ecosystem. It would be better if we will put an instructional material that contains objects which symbolizes the current season, like for instance Christmas season. So you can put trees, lanterns that we with the tags on it, because children loves to follow the natural changes that the world offers each month, and classroom decorations reflect this. So third, we have the writing board. So I know we have seen this one in the classroom. A writing board can display information written with chalkboard or blackboard, or special pens, or what we called whiteboard. Whiteboard for those who can afford to buy a whiteboard. So here are the suggestions on using the writing board. First, keep the board clean, of course. And second, use chalk or pens that contrast with the background of the board so that students can see the information clearly. Okay, like for instance, we should not use a chalk that is color green, right? Because it kasi same siya ng color ng board, right? Although blackboard siya, pero green yung board. So we won't use it. We won't use a green chalk because kasi hindi na ano ba tawag dito, hindi ma identify yung mga letters na isusulat mo sa blackboard kapag green chalk yung gagamitin mo. So instead of using that color, we must use a color na clear siya sa background, like for instance white, 'di ba? And then third, make text and drawings large enough to be seen from the back of the room. Okay, if since we will be teaching soon an elementary pupil, so if magsusulat tayo ng mga words and phrases doon sa board or drawings, we must assure that it is large enough to be seen sa mga estudyante. Then 4, prepare complex drawings in advance. If very complex, an overhead transparency of 35mm slide may be preferable. And 5, underline headings and important or unfamiliar words for emphasis. Okay, we can use underline headings. And 6, do not talk while facing the board. Okay, ito. Maraming, I have seen so many teachers that are used to talk without facing their students. So, it would be better if kung magsasalita tayo, face natin yung student natin instead of facing the board. And then last, do not block the student's views of the board. Stand aside when writing or drawing is completed. If tapos na tayong, if yung teacher is tapos ng magsulat or magdraw, so you can stand aside so that makita yung mga sinulat mo, makita yung ng mga estudyante yung mga sinulat mo. Kasi there are students who are introvert type na nahihiya silang mag-approach sa teacher nila. And then last, allow sufficient time for students to copy the information from the board. Okay, there are teachers that are sobrang gipit magbigay ng time for their students to copy, na gusto nila if tapos na silang magsulat sa board, dapat tapos na rin yung mga students. So hindi siya okay, hindi siya accurate enough. So, may mga estudyante na mahinang magsulat, and some may mga sa mata, like for example yung mga nearsighted, so hindi malinaw yung mga words na sinulat mo. So it would be better to give enough time for them to copy. Okay, next instructional materials is flip chart. So flip chart is a large tablet or pad of paper, usually on a tripod or stand. So we can see here na meron siyang stand. So here are the suggestions on using flip chart. First, you use wide tip pens or markers. Markers with narrow tips produce printing that is difficult to read. Second, print in black letters that are large enough to be read easily from the back of the room. Third, use different colored pens to provide contrast. This makes the pages visually attractive and easier to read. And four, use headings, boxes, cartoons, and borders to improve the appearance of the page. And five, we can use bullets to delineate items on the page. And lastly, leave plenty of white space and avoid putting too much information on one page. Kasi kung maglalagay tayo ng too much information on one page, so crowded siya, and poorly arranged information is distracting and difficult to read. And number 7, when pages are prepared in advance, use every other page. If every page is used, colors will show through and make text difficult to read. Okay, number 8, have masking tape available to put pages up around the room during brainstorming and problem-solving activities. Okay, a teacher must have a masking tape, of course, because maraming bagay na pwedeng magamit natin sa masking tape, particularly sa teaching. Okay, number 9, to hide a portion of the page, fold up the lower portion of the page and tape it. When ready to reveal the information, remove the tape and let the page drop. And then last, face the student, not the flip chart while talking. So same dun sa writing board, we must face our student instead of the instructional material. The next one, we have the zigzag board. Okay, it is a multi-board series of 3 or 4 rectangular boards. They are joined together along the sides by hinge so that they can be easily folded up and carried. Each board can be of a different type, for example, a whiteboard or a chalkboard or a flannel board, and so on. So the size of the boards for the zigzag multi-board depends on what you want to use them for. So it is like a big brochure. So ganito yung mga yung pinapagawa namin, yung pinagawa sa amin na brochure. So it depends how many boards you want to create. There are zigzag board who has 6 rectangular boards, or 4. So nakadepende sa iyo kung ilang board you want to create. The next one, wall display. So displaying items on a classroom wall is a well-known, tried and tested educational method. A wall display is a collection of many different types of items and materials put up on a wall to make an interesting and informative display. In a classroom, the display can consist of the student's own work. In development work, it can be used to convey information to the community. Okay, so we all can see this inside in the 4 corners of the classroom. We can see some motivational quotes, sayings. So this is also a teacher's way in passing information to the learners, and also to encourage learners. So we must make sure that yung mga wall display na yung mga ilalagay natin na visual ay informative at interesting for the learners. And lastly, we have the rope and pole display board. So this board consists of two parallel horizontal poles tied loosely together with rope. Visual aids such as posters can be pinned to the rope. This kind of display board is invaluable where there are few solid walls for displaying information. It has no solid backing and can be made quickly for teaching, training, and when working with communities. So all you need is a rope and display board. So makakagawa ka na ng rope and pole display board. This is creative and simple to do. Like, it can be made quickly for teaching. So I have here guidelines when designing conventional instructional materials. First is unity. So we must use only one idea for each visual aid and include a headline. We must not use we must not use many ideas in one visual aid because it could confuse our learners. And second is simplicity. Make ideas and relationships simple and easy to recall, and avoid cluttering a visual with too many words, numbers, or graphics. The audience should be able to grasp the concept in 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, we must avoid making a visual with too many words now, because it could it could also, just like what I have said, it could confuse the learners. So it would be better if we must it is creative, but it is simple yet creative. And the third one, we have the legibility. Make letters big and readable for all in the audience. So we must make sure that our visual is big enough and readable for the audience. Four is consistency, and last is clarity. Okay, we must use the same type style and art style, and avoid type that is too small to read. Just like in legibility, we must avoid letters that is too small to read, and avoid all caps. And we are done with this topic. I hope you have gained something. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.